the story of a magical king. One of wizards and warriors. It's an epic tale set upon the high seas. An odyssey through time and space. Pew, 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 pew.
Welcome to a very special review of It Takes Two. What do I mean by special? Well, if you cut back to us, then you'll know. That's right, for today's episode, I thought I'd bring along the person that I completed It Takes Two with, Melinda.
Since it's a game that takes two to play, we thought it'd take two to review.
Well said, Melinda. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started.
It Takes Two is a game about a married couple who are in the middle of getting a divorce. They have a child who is doing her best to try to keep them from getting divorced. And in her attempt, it creates a magical occurrence that causes them to turn into dolls. And the game is basically overcoming obstacles to try to get back to their human forms.
So I think definitely the best thing about the game is just how many elements it throws your way. It tries to be so many things, from fighter to platformer to shooter at one point, that even if one of these don't work, there's another element right around the corner trying to do something else to excite and do better.
Yeah, and don't be mistaken, it sounds like it's a hodgepodge of things, but it worked really well. Each section just made it more exciting. They were puzzles. They weren't too hard, so anybody of any level could play it. And it's just one of those games that you don't see nowadays, where you interact with the person sitting next to you. Now, with all that great stuff that we just talked about, one down point to the game I will say is the story. Not the story specifically, but the characters. The mom and dad are just terrible people. They do really mean things, and it's really hard to get involved with these people. So every time it cut back to the story, I was having a hard time enjoying it. I was just waiting for when I could get back to playing the actual games themselves.
Yeah, that for me was something that I personally disliked as well. You just don't really care about these two characters, and you don't really care if they get back together, just because they're so mean. And even to their daughter, who you think would be the one element that really brought them together, like the first part of the game, it can get to some pretty dark places. So yeah, I didn't have fun playing as them particularly. I just had fun with the actual gameplay portions, just like you. But that being said, as Melinda just said, the gameplay portion of it is a lot of fun. And what's great is that there's a dynamic that kind of builds between the person that you're playing with, where you'll be working together in a section only to come across a random minigame that the game likes to throw a lot at you. Optional little side things where they're competitive against each other. And so we'll quickly go from working together to all of a sudden like, oh, I'm gonna beat you, and it just creates a lot of really fun moments like that, where you're constantly looking forward to what the game is gonna do next.
Yeah, and I enjoyed a lot of the graphics. I'm not big on worlds generally in games. I don't play a lot of games, but it changed from like snowy landscapes to castles to a child's bedroom. And it did it really well. They came up with a lot of like ingenious little jokes in it, and I had fun exploring, and I do not explore in games. I'm more of a street story kind of girl, so that's saying quite a lot.
So with all that being said, we give It Takes Two a 4 out of 5, with the recommendation to play it.
Yeah, despite any unpleasant characters that may be in the game itself was definitely enjoyable, so grab a friend and take it on.
And that's our review! Melinda, thank you so much for coming on and doing this video with me.
Of course, I enjoyed It Takes Two.
And speaking of two, there's 2 more reviews left. So don't you guys split, and make sure you come back tomorrow for my next review. Until then, stay safe out there and have a good one.